Egypt is currently undergoing a foreign reserve struggle. The country is short in dollars as a result of falling tourism and foreign aid, among other factors. The Central Bank of Egypt has been devaluing the pound gradually in an effort to restore the balance in the foreign exchange market. As the governor of the central bank is being replaced and the new management will hold office by the end of next month, it is important to discuss what is causing the imbalance in the market and what changes should we expect under the new management. To help us understand this foreign exchange struggle, AUC economics professor Dr. Adel Bishay will shed his expertise on the topic. Dr. Adel Bishay has had a long and fruitful career contributing to the field of economics on a national and international level. In 1964, he was awarded the master's degree in economics from Stanford University and his economics PhD from Oxford in 1973. He started his career in AUC in 1965, where he chaired the economics department for 16 years. Outside the field of academia, he became the Assistant Secretary General of the UN World Food Conference in 1974, and in 1976 he created the International Fund for Agricultural Development in Rome. One of his most famous publications to date is the Export Performance and Economic Development in Sudan 1900 to 1967, published in 1976. His research interests include agricultural economics, globalization, as well as international trade. Thank you, Doctor, for coming here.
Thank you.
Of course, you're an expert in international trade and globalization. And we have realized that changes that happen on a worldwide scale and on an international level sometimes affect our economy here at home. For example, the change in oil prices, they stooped low, so it affected our foreign reserves. So I would like to start our show with asking you the external and internal factors that have put so much pressure on our foreign exchange rate.
Sure. This is, of course, the topical issue at the moment, and this issue is a result of two factors. One of them is basically structural. Another one has to do with the way policy is handled by the responsible people. For one thing, as you would know, in the last few months, our exports have not been doing well. In the past few years, they were doing quite well. One reason has been the shortage of energy for factories. The government had a policy, which we must all respect, that energy first to the household, so that people, which is interesting, they care about the people, but this deprived many factories from the energy. So, and as it was mentioned yesterday by the president, by the end of this month, there will be no problem of energy for the factories. This affected the situation. Secondly, in the age of globalization, globalization means you are more open to the rest of the world. More open to the rest of the world, it means if there's inflation in the rest of the world, you will import it. If there is recession in the rest of the world, you will import it. In the rest of the world now, the situation is, Egypt is very open. With a country like China, you have been importing, and some of the people who used to export rather switched to merchant capitalism rather than industrial capitalism. So this again affects your industrial sector and your industrial exports. Thirdly, the policy by the central bank, and the banking sector in Egypt is traditionally wonderful, had a long history and everything, but everyone has a policy. The governor emphasized teaching a lesson to the black market, and he succeeded in it. But governor of the central bank is the apex of the monetary authority. Your job is also bigger than that. It's for the whole monetary management of the country. So doing that has affected a little bit the logistics and the mechanics of imports and exports.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about exports. Now there's a devaluation in the pound. So isn't that supposed to make our exports cheaper? So it's supposed to increase exports. But just yesterday or before yesterday, the Minister of Trade, he said that actually exports were decreasing. So why is something like this is happening?
The Minister of Trade is correct. Exports are decreasing. And one of the major things we teach in fourth year university course in international economics is whenever your currency, you are devaluing your currency, the effect never ever comes instantaneously. And I remember England when they devalued the pound sterling in 1967 from £1 sterling equal to $2.8. to 1 pound sterling, $2.4. People made studies, and then even England realized that it might take a year or a year and a half, because the study they made was only after 6 months. It will take its time. And it will take its time, it will work. Egypt is a diversified economy, don't worry about it. And one thing people need to know about this devaluation doesn't mean I'm devaluing my dignity. Devaluation is a healthy thing. But the word, regrettably, words have power. Devalue. On the contrary, some countries envy others for devaluing their currency. And actually, in a sense, you are not devaluing your currency. The real issue is the dollar. The Economist magazine a few months ago had her first page about the dollar, and the dollar rising. The dollar is another issue. We can talk about it one day. The dollar is the world de facto currency, and it is rising like mad. But the euro fell, was devalued vis-a-vis the dollar. So why should the Egyptians be surprised that the pound falls against the dollar? The pound did not fall against the vis-a-vis the euro, you know. People need more education, you know. So actually, in a sense, you need a bigger devaluation.
So actually, I want to talk about this point. Do you think that the government or the central bank should just let it, like a floating exchange rate, where just let it fall suddenly and leave it to free market forces? Or what they're doing right now is actually good, that they're gradually devaluing?
What they are doing is good as long as they leave life as it used to be before. Not about this business that if you are exporting or you are importing, this limit on currency and so on. So to do it is a little bit slowly, fine. I mean, it doesn't matter, but it will not be. It can't be too slowly, and then the market will find its place.
So you expect,
but then don't put many restrictions. You know what I mean?
Capital controls.
I wouldn't do that.
So
this is okay for a certain desideratum, which is the other market, the informal market. But it really doesn't matter.
But because they want to control the black market. So you think they won't be successful? Like these capital controls?
No, they will not be
auctions.
successful. No, they won't be successful in the sense that people will get money from abroad, and this is what they are doing from Dubai and so on, and pay there. And then you have another problem of under invoicing. The thing comes with a lower invoice, and you pay lower taxes on it, you know, and it becomes a vicious circle.
So I feel like at this point it could be a positive thing, an opportunity for us to encourage local industry. And I just want to know how the government can take this chance as like to encourage local industry and encourage our exports. So how do you think they should do that?
I couldn't agree more with you. It is fantastic. The only problem is this: people talk too much. It is not a problem to educate people. They should bring the right people to talk in simple language which everyone would understand. When I appear on the Egyptian television, I talk economics, and illiterate farmers understand what I say. You know what I mean? It doesn't require to take it as an opportunity. For example, when the price of oil used to be $124 per barrel, it's now 50, and it reached some time ago 39, which was incredible. This is a blessing because it lowers cost of energy to the industrialists.
Of course.
You see what I mean? Things like that. And I mean, and don't worry. People again forget these real things you and me are talking about, and talk about reserves. Do not worry too much about reserves, even if they fall further. We lived in this country, Egypt, right? For years and years with quasi-zero reserves. I mean, they attach. Why do you attach too much importance to reserves? You know, life goes on.
So do you think it's just the media, maybe, or
the problem is this? You see, for example, if you ask me to give a lecture on multimedia, I will not do it because I don't know how to lecture on it. I know about economics, right? And even within economics, there are areas I am good at, and there are areas I'll say go to someone else. When you have everyone talks as if they know everything, the pound vis-a-vis the dollar. The simple point I told you, the euro has been falling for a year vis-a-vis the dollar. Are you better than the euro? And secondly, the word better is even not the right thing. It is so wonderful to be able to lower the value of your currency so as to encourage exports and to discourage imports. And thirdly, remember that people want, there is a recent trend in Egypt in everything, they want the result instantaneously. Nowhere in the world it happens instantaneously because there are time lags all over the world.
So if we wait, like how long do you think it would take?
A year and a half, you begin to feel the effect.
But you think what's happening right now will have a positive effect in the long run?
As long as within the country also structurally you enable the investor to invest. Your problem, you see, listen, two things. Your strengths, the main strengths of Egypt, in the eyes of the whole world, why are they looking at Egypt? All investors are looking at Egypt. Your strength is one word, the market. You are a big market. They all want to come to you. So you have tremendous economic potential. Number two, what is your problem? Problem is structural, administrative. The administrative aspect has not yet been cured. Ossified bureaucracy hasn't yet been cured. It must be cured again for your exports to increase.
Local industry.
Yes.
Okay.
To be able to get a permit to establish a factory.
Okay, but we also have a lot of importers, of course, they complain, and a lot of articles in Financial Times and Economist, they always focus on the importers. So do you think the government should, or the central bank or the government should deal with the importers, or how can they maybe encourage them to produce at home and not import stuff
Your
from
question is super, and I will answer it in a manner you will never forget in your life, and the listeners will never forget it. Have I or have you in your lifetime ever talked to a merchant? Distinguish between a merchant and someone who has a factory. Have any one of you, ask your parents, ask anyone, ask me, at any time when everything was flourishing in the 70s and 80s, you talk to a merchant, how are things? Never ever did a merchant would use the word, life is fine, wonderful. They say, oh, we are managing, and they appear meek and things like that. A merchant, for example, if you buy something from him and you want to return it and you are a good customer, he tells you, okay, pick another thing. He will never put his hand in his pocket and give you money. This is merchant mentality, and that's why education is important. And the history of the world, merchant capitalism versus industrial capitalism. In Egypt, anyone who wants to build a factory, I as government, I would help him or her to infinity. Merchants will forever and ever more be complaining.
So we shouldn't just...
It's a mentality, it's a mindset all over the world.
Yeah, and of course, like as I mentioned, I think that in the media, so much negativity, even though when the central bank is doing the right thing, the media puts too much like negativity in the importers' woes
and traders and so on don't give them much attention because the more they make profit, the more they become greedy. Concentrate on producers.
So what do you think is the one factor that would affect, would cause a balance in the foreign exchange market? If there's one thing we should focus on the most, of course it should be a collaboration of things, but like is it tourism, the Suez Canal, exports? If you choose one thing.
It is mainly exports, and exports are commodities and services. Tourism is an export of a service, right? And at the heart of all that, behind all that, the founding block of all that, production and productivity. And production and productivity, Egyptians are super at production and productivity if the milieu is okay. But I suffer because of the mahalliyat, the local councils, which are the hell for Egypt. It's not the ministers. The ministers are intelligent people and the ones immediately under them. But then when you come to that level, you need, I hope the president, I don't know, there can be policies where you can, for all new ventures, you handle it outside the current Egyptian bureaucracy. You need a revolution in that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adel Bishay, for coming here and for helping us. This is Tara El Softi, and wait for us for another episode of the Business Weekly Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.